The adaptation of Avatar: The Last Airbender was a colossal disaster. When you recommend a show to someone and need to say the words, "it gets good," you have dropped the ball. The animated series Avatar: The Last Airbender is one of, if not the greatest show of all time. It is really a tough act to follow when trying to adapt it to live action. They've already failed once. And with the headlines before the show coming out saying, "Creators have left, we are removing this vital arc," or "we are not adapting some of the most important aspects of the animated series." Going in, we as fans were all apprehensive, and sadly, even though it had 21.2 million global views in its first 4 days, which is insane, that's 15% better than One Piece, you had to nail the start. The reality is that the Netflix Avatar show had a nightmare of a beginning, which to me, when watching, only had one thought on my mind. Netflix's Avatar: The Last Airbender is a disaster. Before we get into this beefy video, make sure to subscribe to the channel and to check out our Patreon with a link in the description down below. Helps the channel out, all that stuff, you know the gist. To get one thing out of the way, because I know there are going to be many comments saying exactly this, no, I did not want a one-to-one adaptation of the animated show. I understand change. Change is good. Yet when you take a 20 episode season and condense it down to 8 episodes, things are going to be cut. Messages are going to be simplified or combined to make it fit and work. Throw in budget constraints and various other issues, it means rather large aspects of the show are now just missing. One of the most important things that the Netflix show had to do right was nailing its tone, to make sure people's first introduction impression of Avatar would be a good one. Yet it failed on both fronts. It can all be summed up with a single line of dialogue from the original series.
I need to ask you something. What is it? Please, come closer. Will you go penguin sledding with me?
This is a vital part of Aang's character. Bar one scene where he plays with water with Katara, it's an aspect of Aang that I feel is missing. In turn, a whole side of the show that feels like it's now a massive hole. I will be going largely episode by episode for this video. To start, I want to grab some of the larger issues and just discuss them. The formatting of the show is something the showrunner touched on in an article with Entertainment Weekly. The writer's room mapped out the season in blocks of 2 episodes, 1 and 2, the Amashu arc of 3 and 4, and then the Northern Water Tribe setting of 7 and 8. That left 5 and 6 to kick off the Spirit World arc, except there was multiple reweavings that ended up happening as a result. This in itself showcases issues. They then go on to say, though initially more standalone in the animated original, the live action series combines the storylines for Heibai, Ko, Roku Shrine, and the Blue Spirit all into one overarching plot. When reading this, my jaw was on the floor. This is as big of a red flag as any flag could possibly be. Each episode in the original series teaches Aang and the team a lesson, which over the span of 20 episodes, by the time book 1 finishes, they have become completely different people. The quickest and easiest tell sign that something is off, that over the course of the entire Netflix show, Aang, the Avatar, master of all elements, does not attempt to bend another element, let alone water, which, if you don't know, is the title of the season it was adapting. I understand this is something we can get to later, I really do. There are tons of changes I totally understand, such as moving the time crunch to, if you do season 2, to help out the actors, aging so fast compared to animation. It's just sad to lose all those little moments between the cast, all the bonding. And when you watch the interviews of the cast hanging around, their chemistry is literally just the ATLA show. It's perfect.
Okay.
Have you not seen what Aang does with that stuff?
Where your homies at?
Just doesn't come across in the show. The big fear is that when they introduce Toph later down the line, that all those small moments between the crew that she excels at will be gone.
Sorry, snoozles. We'll do our earthbending as quietly as we can.
From the perspective of cutting things, Katara seems to have gotten the shortest end of the stick. We miss so much of her growth. It seems like the Netflix show was just scared to make the characters a little unlikable and to have them grow at all. The waterbending scroll episode, she was jealous of Aang for being a prodigy at it, nailing all these moves she could not. She yelled at Aang and did things that harmed the group, but we know Katara is a nice person and is only a child trying to handle the seriously stressful situation that she has been put in. While missing this vital part, we also don't get the imprisoned episode where she meets Haru, an earthbender who is going through exactly what she went through. I understand the reasoning, given the amount of running time we had and how much story we had to get in there, along with the new stuff that we've added that you saw. There was an inevitability there was going to be casualties, and that, like I said, that is among some of the biggest regrets, not being able to do that stuff. I'm sure there are entire episodes and characters that fans will go, how could you not do that? I'll just say I agree. I ask myself that, like, how could you not do that? But no, we just had to make these choices and they were hard. I do not envy the creative team. This is just sadly one of the realities when adapting something. And if you're going to run into these issues, I am sorry, but we can't just go, oh, never mind then. Other small aspects that really annoyed me were, and I'll try to keep this as quick as I can to the individual episodes, but the music. While yes, the original themes mostly return, for the most part, each theme comes across as just much more muffled and less distinct compared to the animated counterparts. Takashi Furukawa is an extremely talented composer, working on the Clone Wars, and legit, some of the best tracks of that show were from him. And that's not to say there aren't highlights on this score. Liu Ten's Funeral is a beautiful track that I know will get many Avatar fans teared up. The amount of love that's put into this track, you can just feel it. There are many times where I thought, hey, the music is doing pretty good shit right now. To me, I just feel that so much of the Avatar identity isn't here. The simple nature of strings or the kalimba just isn't here to be seen or heard. And maybe it is there and I just didn't hear it. It just shouldn't be that subtle if so. It's gone for a more mature orchestral sound, like a big budget Hollywood project. Everything is sweeping and big, yet the small moments don't stick with me. I feel this goes in line with them wanting the show to be more like Game of Thrones. The music in the animated series does come across as a kid's cartoon, and I feel like the larger score attempts to age up some of the concepts that might be a little too kid-friendly, like flying on the back of a bison talking about their feelings. The last thing to talk about quickly is the image quality. The entire show, from the costume design to wigs and CGI, the overall clarity of the image just feels cheap. There is so many shots that has so much noise, which for a show this expensive feels odd. Costumes for the most part feel like they just ran out of time to age any of them. I understand the anime show looked like this, but again, that is animation. You compare this to Game of Thrones and it feels so evident. Everything just has such a clean feel to it. The blue screen and volume work, whatever technique they used, for book 2, please stop. So many times you'll be watching characters just obviously just be on a soundstage and it is so distracting. I can't engage with this at all. It is just too flat. Episode 1 covers so much, doing the boy in the ice, the Avatar returns, the Southern Air Temple, and half of the storm. It is just an odd choice. We cover the brutality of the Fire Nation as they attack some earthbenders. The bending here is genuinely, it looks cool. When thinking about live action bending, it's stuff like this you hope to see. Creative uses and showcasing just how scary this stuff can be. Molding earth to be your weapon is terrifying. Earthbenders turning into the Beast Heart and hurling rocks at their foes. On an actual positive note, what is not to love about this? Yet the major thing on my mind is why so much has to be done in the first episode. The show feels the rush to tell us all of this information as fast as it can. If you desperately want to be like Game of Thrones, trust your audience. Game of Thrones did that. All adult television that is good does this. They don't think to hold your hand and frustratingly have a scene, explain everything with emotions and acting and music and just everything that a scene needs to give a story beat, to then have a direct scene after tell you what you just learned to your face.
But I trade places with any of them. I don't want the responsibility. I'm scared of my power. I'm scared of being alone.
It happens again with Grand later. We just got this huge intro that tells us the history of the Avatar world. We then just watched it happen. And then, instead of them trusting the audience that weren't scrolling through Twitter, you then have a worse version of exactly all this. So we get told and shown 3 to 4 times the exact same information, all while spoiling it for Aang and the group. I feel most movies and shows, even if the lore and story they have is the coolest shit ever, they spoil their own story. Things that are meant to be cool or a shock to characters are just told to them when it's convenient, because it's easier and quicker, or whatever it be. Okay, deep breath. On to the next stuff. It's the most notable in the first episode, so let's quickly talk about the acting overall. It's pretty rough. I said earlier the cast are all perfectly cast. In interviews, they are just them. Yet to me, it seems to be a direction problem.
I'm not the anime.
This just needed another couple takes. This is the type of thing that happens quite a lot early on. These are child actors. Not one part of me blames them. You need to support them and guide them through this. It feels like every problem in the show is in this first episode. So it feels easy just to use this as a showcase. Pacing is the biggest offender. I will need to spend a bit of time on this point. You are rushing through so much so early. We spent a couple minutes at the Southern Air Temple, rushing through so many of the quiet moments that what made the episode what it is. I also feel like their arcs are far less clear as compared to the animation. I understand change. I fully encourage change, yet every change so far is either to make it more dark or to make it shorter without replacing it with anything. Meaning, on a direct comparison, it is literally just 40% of the original story that was told in a longer format. The reason it's so important is that we need to quickly buy that they are friends. In the animation, the Southern Air Temple does that alone. Constantly through character action, we see them do things to help their friend. As they work out how all this Avatar stuff works together, instead of giving all that screen time to Gran, stripping Katara of more dialogue and more connection, or any connection, to Aang. We also can't talk about the absolute ugh fest that is the CGI shot at the end of this episode. Like, I literally started laughing out loud when this popped up. That's what I have just on episode 1. This is what makes, in my opinion, the Netflix show a straight up disaster out of the gate. You cannot have this be your first impression of this story. Episode 2 covers Kyoshi warriors while also doing half of the Winter Solstice Part 2, and doing 116, the Deserter, in a flashback. While episode 2 is, better, it's exactly what I just told you, which highlights the show's pacing issues again. Those 3 episodes all teach valuable lessons to all of our cast, and doing the Deserter in a flashback not only strips Aang from starting any firebending this season, but an entire episode dedicated showcasing the scary nature of even learning fire, dangerous enough to even hurt his friends. To have Sokka attack him and to have that look in their eyes. Fire is something that triggers something within Katara and Sokka. It's the source of all their pain, and yes, this matters. This is stripped and given a quick, oh, by the way, 100 years ago, I tried this at the Air Temple, so I'm scared to learn elements. It loses all potency and we feel nothing here. Suki is introduced in this episode, however, and she's great. For real though, really enjoyed all of the Kyoshi warrior stuff. A lot of changes here too. I also do not mind any of this. Just already, 2 episodes in, we have covered 7 episodes worth of story. With episodes 3 and 4, I'm gonna be real here, these are the worst episodes of the show. With 5 initially being one that I despised, yet over time, some of the payoffs actually led me thinking that's a little worthwhile at least. Episode 3 and 4 covers the first half of the King of Omashu, Jet, the Northern Air Temple, the last half of King of Omashu, and then we go to season 2 where they cover episode 2, the Cave of Two Lovers, with Sokka and Katara. Ugh! There are parts I liked. The action scene with Zuko and Aang, yeah, felt like classic Jackie Chan type action. Perfect. With Boomy, I hated nearly all of it, but at least Aang learns a direct lesson to be his own avatar and not follow blindly with what worked in the past. He was given the trolley problem in bad faith and came up with his own response. I hate that it took sacrificing Boomy to get this across, but I get it. The world is so much darker and a miserable place. With the season being so short, it would be really jarring to have someone so upbeat thrown randomly in. They wanted Aang to see the entire world be unified in just sad and depressed. With all that said, it fucking kills me to waste one of the best scenes of Avatar. One that establishes so much. One that sets up Aang and Katara being a thing and wastes it on siblings. Episode 5 covers all of the spirit stuff from book 1. So like ingredients at Subway when Shaggy and Scooby rock up to make a sub, they mush it all together for us to eat. And what we get is exactly that. A mess of ingredients that don't really form anything consumable. We cover episodes The Spirit World Part 1 and 2 and the spirit aspects of the Siege of the North Part 1 and 2 with Ko. I think there might be one more episode that I'm missing, but you get it. It's all of this at once. All those episodes teach different lessons about spirits to Aang. The one real positive to take away for me, I love how I think they've taken direct inspiration from Korra for its music. Korra being a sequel show was able to go massively in new directions, spirits being one of them. The Legend of Korra's score is outstanding. One of the key attributes it has is the use of the uru, otherwise known as the Chinese violin or fiddle. Korra's score is full of the use of this instrument, and for the spirits and the spirit world, obviously there is a heavy use of woodwinds as well. This isn't my strong suit, but I adore the usage of this instrument here because it instantly made me feel like, yes, this feels like Avatar. The last thing in episode 5 is that it does the video game trope of having something utterly dire. The world is ending, my friends are captured, the Death Star is pointing at us, you must complete this main mission now. Then you go off fishing and doing all these side quests because, well, I want to level up some more. Gotta find my kid? Nope. This cave sure looks cool. There are tons of examples, and somehow Avatar does this. Oh no, my friends are captured in the spirit realm. Let me spend 2 entire episodes trying to free them, like seeing Avatar Roku at this temple in the Fire Nation territory. Oh no, I am captured, and now I'm stuck. Oh good, now I'm free, now I can go back. When we are directly told, hey, this is urgent, this bad guy is going to eat everyone in the village and his best friends, and it takes 2 hours to get them in TV time. Like, ain't no way there's any tension here. It's hilarious. There is tons more to talk about this episode that I just don't like, but you get it. I understand that Aang at all points, he is trying to save his friends. It's just that when you're trying to combine so many episodes together, this is the result. At this point, I had almost written off the show. The video was just going to be titled, Netflix's Avatar: The Last Airbender is a disaster. Then something happened. Something that changed literally everything. This video was going to be 8, maybe 10 minutes. Something my editor CJ could whip out in 2 to 3 days. Then, episode 6, Masks, changed that. This saved Avatar. Episode 6, Masks, has Aang rushing to a Fire Nation temple to hopefully meet Avatar Roku. With his help, he might be able to save his friends and the innocent lives from the evil spirit, Ko, the face stealer. Episode 6 covers a decent chunk of the animated show too, like its previous episodes in the series. Yet, it makes it work. It takes parts of obviously Avatar Roku, Winter Solstice Part 2, but also the Blue Spirit, and then Zuko's half of the storm, where we get to see everything that transpired in Zuko's backstory. We can't go much further into episode 6 without addressing the elephant in the room. We need to talk about the Fire Nation. To set up the best change, let's start with the beginning. I have gone on for quite a while in this video without even touching on Zuko and Uncle Iroh. That is because I think out of everything to nail, out of every single aspect of the original show that they could possibly not afford to fuck up, they somehow nailed Zuko and Iroh. It's not perfect, I know, but I really do love them. What I do love is the amount of sass that Zuko has.
Your unceasing effort is what led you to the Avatar.
He ran!
In interviews, actor Dallas Liu has stated that he watched very carefully over Dante Basco's performance and Dev Patel, yet he also very much wanted to make Zuko his own. It is so clear that he's done this so well. He carries that mid-2000s emo, like angst, and I can feel his inner Sasuke.
What I have is not a dream, because I will make it a reality. My father has banished me until I find the Avatar, and that's exactly what I'll do. I'm going to restore my clan and destroy a certain someone.
There are some huge changes, such as them covering the death of Uncle Iroh's son in book 1, something that is only briefly mentioned in the original show at this point. I initially hated this, as to me, it just seemed more like them doing book 2 stuff and throwing that in to pad out and get some cheap emotional hooks for poor work early in the season. In hindsight, with episode 6 onwards, to me, it seems that the writers wanted to make one thing clear, that these two are inseparable, that they love each other deeply, and with less runtime, you gotta show that somehow. And by having these few scenes, it makes their times of opening up actually hit. It goes back to when I said that if you're going to cut stuff, cut vital parts to the arc, you need to supplement that somehow. This is the perfect showcase of how to do it right. To hear Leaves on the Vine played as it was, just that simple piano to go into a sweeping orchestra, was just beautiful. However, this is all before episode 6. Episode 6 drops us in with Zuko's crew turning on him, with Lieutenant G leading the front.
He may be a prince, but he's not our prince.
Lieutenant G and all the changes with the 41st Division are brilliant. Along with Admiral Zhao, who I can only describe as having 20 times more sass, both these characters were good in the original. Do not get me wrong. I just love what the Netflix show does with these characters. Feels like something that was always there, underneath the surface, and almost as if it plays with your expectation. Jumping ahead to the scene where Zuko speaks out of line.
What would you do, Zuko?
I know Zuko tries hard here. Seeing his dad's blank retorts just hurt the soul.
They're earthbenders. Our tanks would be buried under rocks in seconds.
The part that gets to me is like, unlike the animated show, his dad drags him into the conversation, asks for his opinion, and almost like, I don't know, to me, I read this as Zuko feeling safe to voice his opinion about his concerns about sacrificing the 41st Division. Almost like a beautiful bait and switch. We get to the Agni Kai, and I know many hate that Zuko fought back. I am indifferent to this. The entire sequence works for me, and the one later with Zuko, Iroh, and his father in his bedroom, all of this only adds to their relationship. Episode 6 just decides to become this 3-star master chef, going from Ozai saying,
And since you're so concerned with the 41st Division, take them with you.
to Xi's reaction. It kills me.
We're the 41st.
And you're all alive because of my nephew's sacrifice.
Come on, that rocks. That hits so damn hard. Zuko gets back on the ship and they all line up for a walk of honor.
Our prince has returned.
Iroh has his monologue connecting to the idea of masks, connecting to the blue spirit. Zuko's persona covers up how he cares so much about the 41st and how all of this connects to Aang. If Ko was all about emotion, it would have worked even better. We can take what we can get though. I don't really need to say much else about this episode. All the stuff with Aang and Roku, yeah, it slapped. The stuff inside with Zhao and Aang, combining those 3 to 4 scenes or aspects into that one scene with Aang in the cell, brilliant. Loved it. Zuko and Aang working together, basically being that 1-for-1 of the animated episode. Yes. Fuck yes. The only change here is that they add an entire extra scene with Aang and Zuko just talking together. Perfect. We get to the final 2 episodes. They are both pretty good. We don't reach the heights of episode 6, but to take a deep breath, it stuck the landing. The biggest change, I think, is the way it handles the avatars of the past. It wasn't really clear how the show was doing it till it reached Kuruk, but I am all here for it. They turned some stuff that just works into things that sets up arcs down the line. On so many occasions in this show, things that they changed mean, oh no, none of this awesome shit that is going to work anymore that's going to happen in books 2 and 3. Instead, what this does is open up so many aspects of the spirit world and conversations with the past avatars as early as season 1. This is sick to me. I love Aang being able to talk to them and go back and forth over what type of avatar Aang needs to be. With the final 2 episodes, Zhao literally goes full Starscream, and again, I am here for it. I love this so much. With the actual water temple stuff, it's all pretty much beat for beat of the animated show. Yue is introduced, Sokka and her have their quick love thing. It's done, however, much better than the animated show because we don't get that love triangle trope where the other guy's a jerk and that whole thing. They actually set this up in episode 5 with her being the wolf and the man of my dreams line, which is cheesy, but I really like it. When Han runs up to Sokka asking for advice for the Fire Nation battle, it was beautiful. I loved it. Oh, something that I really got excited about was this.
Women aren't allowed to fight.
Yes! Sexism! Let's go!
I clapped when I saw it.
Oh, shit. Not like that. I mean, just that I'm happy they showcased the way the Water Tribe was stuck in the past, and to move forward and survive as a tribe, they needed to be more progressive and take on new ideas to overcome problems such as the fascistic forces of the Fire Nation. Thankfully, Katara actually gets a lot of attention in the final 2 episodes. Her battle with Master Paku was great, her standing up for herself. Her battle with Zuko shows how far she's come since episode 2, where she just flopped on the side of the path.
Go easy.
I don't care.
I wasn't talking to you.
Just when I thought the show had finished all that it had to offer, this is where it all went nuts. Oh my god, it's got sauce! Out of seemingly nowhere, just like the cartoon, it fully commits to the setting and that, yeah, there is some seriously high fantasy stuff going on. Suddenly the show goes full red with its color palette. Once Zhao kills the moon spirit, it goes full black and white. The only color we get is of the violence of the fire that comes from the firebenders. It seems like the entire source budget for the entire show for its lighting was spent on these 20 minutes. Oh, and we get this. Where has this show been? We get to the Koizilla in action with the remaining part of this episode. It's, again, pretty much beat for beat of the animated show. Han dies and it's quite sad. Katara is now officially a waterbending master, and they set up book 2 quite well. Now, for my Netflix only, skip to this timestamp because I need to spoil a big part of the animated show. The one huge thing I'm quite sad to lose is Zuko taking Aang and running away into the blizzard. The animated show showed that Zuko let his anger and his mission of honor cloud his judgment. Without his enemy saving him, he would have died there. All would be fine if that did not mean the hardest scene in the entire show, something that plays so pivotal in Zuko's journey, now seems like it might be harder to pull off.
You had him? and then you had nowhere to go.
To quickly touch on Azula, she wasn't a massive part of this season, so I don't really have much to say. I like the actress, she did a good job, the lightning was sick, and the people on Twitter shitting on this, I have no idea what you're talking about. I think as someone who wrote 6,000 words on the show, you all are nitpicking and being crazy as fuck. Avatar means the world to me and to many people. The start of this season of Netflix's live-action Avatar is unmistakably a disaster. It will never be able to change that. However, with the sudden change in quality in the last 3 episodes, it was able to stick a very strong landing. Strong enough so that moving forward for book 2, I can easily see them tightening up the scripts, working on their wigs and costume department, and given the age of the actors, their confidence and belief in themselves should turn into even better performances out of them. All while we know as Avatar fans that book 2 is a much better season of TV, which should make adapting it all the easier. My question to you all are these. What were your thoughts of Netflix's attempt at Avatar, and did you enjoy it? And lastly, and what part of book 2 are you most looking forward to them adapting? Avatar is a series I could talk about non-stop. So if Avatar content is something you want to see, make sure to share this video around, get that engagement up, and I'll make sure to do a few more Avatar videos this year. We have Paramount animated movies to talk about, along with the new animated series about the new Earthbender. Other than that, I just have to thank my patrons. In the Great Mate tier, we have Colin, CJ, and Nick. And for the Good Mate tier, we have Jadu Sable. If seeing your name here at the end of videos or hearing your name be called out alongside other perks interests you, please make sure to follow the link in the description down below. You get to see videos early, among other great things. Anyways, thank you for watching today's video. Make sure to subscribe to the channel with the notification bell turned on, join the Discord, and I'll see you guys next time.